G'day guys, welcome back to another video with Enno here from Fantasy Take TV. Today we'll be going through my Game Week 3 review, and it wasn't pretty. So 38 points, big red arrow. I think I was just inside top 2 million, 1.8 last week, out to 3 and a bit million. So look, the rank, as I've been saying, and you probably know, isn't too important right now. You know, it would be nice to have a better start, of course. A couple of my picks have not gone to plan. You know, had to get Martinelli in last week. Didn't start him, which was a little bit costly, and it means a few sacrifices had to be made, and in turn those have hurt me too. The big at the back, it hasn't been very successful so far, especially this week. You know, all the big teams having away fixtures, all of them conceding goals. And then the one team that actually didn't, I don't have a good enough defender from as yet, in Tomiyasu, as he's still coming off the bench. So, it was a poor week, but we move on, onwards and upwards, and I'll go through my players, and then at the end, as I'll keep doing every week, go through each of the fixtures and give my thoughts on those as well. But Ward in goal, not much more to be said here. It's just been a disaster, really. Not one clean sheet as of yet. We really hope for one early, because the fixtures, they don't get any easier, and it would be nice to move him on and get in a Sanchez, who I was looking at starting if cash allowed, but not to be. And I think it's quite clear that probably needs to change at some point soon. Hopefully in the coming 1 or 2 weeks. It's not going to happen this week, but something to definitely look at, because my plan is still to wild card, game week 8 or 9, which is still quite a while away. So disappointing. I don't really see any clean sheets coming soon for Leicester anyway. So I'm just going to have to continue to field him and hopefully get some save points along the way. And maybe there's a clean sheet at some point, but I don't see it coming. Tar and Robbo again. Liverpool, United got the win and deserved the win, and they couldn't keep it clean there. And Trent got a yellow, and Robbo no attacking returns from either of those. Trent's still looking very attacking, but just defensively, they can't keep it clean at the moment. I think the biggest problem is their midfield is quite either young and inexperienced, like a Harvey Elliott, who, mind you, has played pretty well, but or old, and your James Milner, who probably shouldn't be playing for a club like Liverpool anymore. And Henderson sort of coming off injury, Fabinho as well, not starting and coming off injury. It's not looking great for Liverpool, but I'm sure they'll turn it around at some point, and we'll speak about it later. But they got Bournemouth at home this week, so for me, they're still not going anywhere. Robertson has dropped in price, but that's already happened, and I still think they can keep a clean sheet this coming week. It's better chances than any for them to do so. Cancelo, just no attacking returns, and Newcastle played quite well, scoring their 3 goals. I believe he got a yellow card as well. So, look, City did well to get the draw, I guess, in the end, but Newcastle look really good, and I think they'll be a big force, especially at home this season. James had to play right centre back with Loftus-Cheek still starting, and look, Azpilicueta came on later, but Koulibaly got a red card, so he's going to have to stay centre back for the time being, and they're going to have to continue with that. Look, they're getting Fofana, I believe, pretty much, but it won't be this week. Playing Leicester this week, Leicester will do everything they can to stop that going through early enough so he can play. So, I fully expect James to be right centre back again for this coming week, which is annoying, but hopefully in a couple of weeks he'll eventually move back out wide. And Tomiyasu, probably my fault for probably not going down this path. I still do think he will start very soon. He's just clearly not fit enough to do so, and Ben White has been playing well enough to cover there for now. So look, hopefully it's this week. I probably will field him again, but I think last week fielding him was probably silly, given Andreas had a decent fixture at home, and I could have just waited to see until Tomiyasu did start, and then knowing I could start him in my team. But probably cost myself 6 or 7 points there, which is my fault. Salah captain, look, it worked in the end. It didn't look like it was going to for long parts of that game, but he got his headed goal. He's just opportunistic, really, isn't he? Even when he's having down games and doesn't look like scoring, he pops up and finds a way. Phil, look, I feel hard done by Phil. I love the man, but he really has let not only Haaland down a couple of times, but himself down, and he's had 15 points for the year now, I want to say, and it really should be 25. Like, he's left a lot of points out there. Couple opportunities to pass to Haaland, which got him taken off last game, and I think he had another one in this game as well. So, look, Pep does love him for the fact that he can play anywhere, literally in midfield, any of the front three positions. He's so versatile, but he's really got to start just delivering and doing the team things a bit more, or else, he could see some bench time. But I still do think he'll start most games. He's just too versatile and good of a player not to. And City, they do need some points still on the board, got to fight for top spot with the mighty Gunners at the moment. So, but no, he'll definitely, in my eyes, keep starting. I mean, there's a lot of games coming up, so I do expect him to be on the bench for one of them, but he'll always feature. And so for me, I still actually think he's the best 8 million mid that there is. So, yep, we'll continue to have Phil on the field and in my team. Martinelli, so got the assist. But I'm still happy to have him in my team. He's definitely the greatest value midfielder in the game. For only we'll start at 6 million, but what is he, 6.3 now and still rising. Just for, front three in a great team that's playing well and it's got good fixtures. I think, best value mid in the game. So I sort of forced him in, and I think it was a good move in the end. Of course, would have been great if I started him and didn't have to be stuck with Tomiyasu, but definitely the best value mid. Haaland got his goal in the end. He's had quite a lot of chances, and I think the XG will show that, which I'll get to later. But the only interesting thing was him is Pep's comments, and probably to be expected, but there could be some rotation coming. They've got a charity match in the middle of next week, along with a midweek fixture in the Premier League coming as well. So it's just, there's a lot of games in a short amount of time, and for someone like Haaland, who's had his injury history, I do expect him to get rotated, and Pep pretty much said that. He said he'll play Alvarez in some games, and Haaland won't play every game, so probably expected, but it's just something to think about. And then Jesus, who was my vice captain, just an assist as well. Could have had a goal, got ruled offside, which was very close, but again, irrelevant to a lot of our ranks, but he was underpriced as well to start the season, wasn't he? That's why he's so highly owned, and he's just risen as well, up to 8.2, I think. So that's the team. I'll do a team selection video for Saturday night, probably. Just release it that day. Just got a bit going on, so that's it. That's the team. Still no money in the bank, and most likely I will roll, but I'll talk about that on the team selection video. But now let's just get into the fixtures and sort of what I saw. I did watch the Tottenham Wolves game, most of the second half, really not the first, but in the first half the Wolves were quite not dominant, but they had definitely the more chances. Just not many of them were too clinical or too high XG chances, but they did have, I think, 12 shots to like 1. So second half, Spurs came out, they dominated. And they got their goal in the end from a corner. They were looking quite threatening from the corners, with Perisic whipping them in. So, I mean, I guess the big talking point is Perisic, started this game, had, 0.66 expected assists. So he had a couple of big chances from especially those corners for an assist. He got it in the end from just a flick on. And look, he's going to be a great, sort of points per minute scorer when he's playing. It's just there is still the worries of, as I said with Haaland, the many fixtures coming up in quick succession, whether he starts most games. But look, I still think he will play at least half of them. It's just whether you can stomach that or be aware that he's not going to play every minute of every game, but he will feature. And look, if he gets closer to 20-25 minutes off the bench than 10, I still think he can score and get returns in the back half of games for Spurs. But he's a big one, and then Kane with his goal, the headed goal from the corner. Sonny has been a bit underwhelming, I guess, for those of you with him. He's, I think, fallen in price. He's been coming off early. He's the one that's coming off for Richarlison so far, not Kulusevski. So that is interesting, I guess. But yeah, for Spurs, they've got good fixtures coming up. I think Forest this week. So definitely would be nice to have an asset from their team, but I don't. And then Wolves, not much to talk about. They didn't really have a lot of high chances. They did have a lot of shots, but not much produced from them. But they've got that new striker, Guedes, so interesting to see how he goes. Next game was Palace Villa, and I thought Palace were outstanding in this one. I did watch this in full, really. It was the one I chose to watch out of all those games because I thought it would be the most interesting. And look, Villa started well with the early goal, but Palace really took it to them. And at home, they're hard to play against. And Zaha is in ripping form and someone that we should definitely be keeping an eye on with upcoming fixtures and when they're getting good for Palace. So, look, way outperformed them on the XG. 3-1 in the end. They probably could have scored more, but Zaha is looking really, really nice. So if you just look at the XG, 1.45 for that. I mean, 1.7. Involvement for the game is crazy numbers. But yeah, I think obviously one was from the penalty which he missed and followed up and scored. So he's definitely clear best option at Palace. And then for Villa, I just don't think you want to touch any of their options right now. If you still got Bailey, it's nice that he started. Got actually a really nice assist. Flick on with the header, but just don't want to touch any Villa assets at the moment, and I don't think their fixtures are great anyway. So we'll swiftly move on to Everton and Forest, and this game was not much happened for the most part until late, and both teams got a late goal. So unfortunate for those with, I know, Nico Williams and even Patterson, if you were fielding them for a week, they got their clean sheets wiped, which is annoying, of course. But as far as any other options for these teams, again, I don't think there's many you want. Gordon's linked to a move away, which is bemusing to say the least for those sort of figures. And then Forest, look, it would be nice to maybe have one of their strikers on a good run of fixtures, but you just don't know. Awoniyi is probably the best, but Brennan Johnson, and you don't know who's going to start game to game. They've signed a lot of players over this window, so. I thought Morgan Gibbs-White looked pretty good when he came on. Didn't offer any goal or assist threat, but just I think he's going to be a really good pickup for them and start quite regularly coming soon. So, look, we'll move on from there. Not much to say. Fulham Brentford, this looked like an awesome game. I do wish I actually watched this one in full in the end, and Fulham got the win. As you can see from the XG, probably deservedly so in the end, and Mitro just continued his good form, nabbing that late goal and probably should have scored another. Bobby Reid was good. And then for assist-wise, Mbabu and, of course, Andreas, who was on my bench this week, looked good for the assist on corners, and that's what it was from. So he's definitely a fieldable option in semi-good fixtures. Obviously, avoid him in the hard ones, but even then, just being on set pieces and corners and that alone, playing quite advanced is always a good option. And then, I mean, clearly for Brentford, it's Tony, and someone that I think I'm looking at quite heavily. If Haaland is one that I want to make way to just assume that he's going to get rotated, move away from him, go down to a Tony, and then have heaps of cash to spread around my team. Get another midfielder. Probably the week after, use that the spare cash I have to get a proper keeper as well. Just might be something I look at. Of course, you go down to one premium per se in those circumstances, and who are you going to captain week to week. But personally, the notion always is, if you're not going to captain these premiums, why have them? And Haaland, I just don't think is someone that you can feel confident in captaining just because of his minutes. If he starts and gets rotated early, or if he doesn't start, he probably comes on, and I don't know, maybe he's probably the guy that doesn't come on if he doesn't start, because you probably assume City would probably wrap a game up, like say he doesn't start the Forest game that's coming up soon. They'd probably finish that one pretty easily, and maybe they just rest Haaland for the full game. So maybe he's not someone that comes on, and then you can get your vice captaincy. But still, look, if you're not going to captain these premium players, and they aren't always worth having. So does it for you enough confidence to start Salah or start captain him week in, week out? Maybe not, but just something to think about. Spreading the funds around your team more often, and there's going to be rotation, I guess, across the league during that time. So to have a stronger overall squad could be very beneficial. Leicester Southampton, Leicester is in a world of hurt at the moment. A lot of their players linked to moves away. They're just not playing at their best. They're always good for a goal, but with that XG, look, even it was just a ripping goal from Maddo, so they didn't really create much outside of that. Southampton, again, deserved the win. Look, that was only a 0.1 chance, that free kick, and they just didn't create much at all. So, especially against Southampton, that's pretty disappointing from them. I think they're always going to be good for some attacking returns, but it didn't look likely in this game. And then with Southampton, they didn't create a hell of a lot themselves, but that's good enough from Che Adams to get a couple of goals. So Interesting team, Southampton. I tipped it myself to go down, but I think they backed in their recruitment and their young players that they've got, and look, Che Adams wasn't even starting the first couple of games, so yeah. Look, he came on again for this game and scored. So interesting to say the least. But yeah, probably not two teams we're looking heavily at. Anyway, Bournemouth Arsenal. I thought Arsenal, I watched this game, would just control the game from the get-go. They didn't create a hell of a lot. They got the 2 early goals from Odegaard, but they just controlled the game, and Bournemouth never really looked like having a sniff. I know they had a couple of chances in the second half. The first half was just crazy dominance. But second half, it opened up a little bit for Bournemouth. They had a couple of long balls go in and had some shots. But for the most part, look, they created absolutely nothing. And then the Gunners, not a hell of a lot either, but Odegaard with the 2 goals. Martinelli and Jesus probably should have had one that was offside, and then which they don't count in the expected. So you probably would have had more, but just look really good at the moment. So should get a result against Fulham this week back at the Emirates, and I think you should be tripled up on them. Leeds, this was an amazing game to watch. Leeds are just really, really fun to watch attackingly, and they just destroyed Chelsea, really. I know the first goal from Mendy was very silly. The give up right in the box, and Aronson finished it off. Look, they got it 0.88 here. I think they had it 0.99, some XG algorithms, but yeah, they created a lot. Jack Harrison, to me personally, I think is the best. I mean, they've got all 3 guys here, all year 6 million, or I think Harrison's 5.5, but around that price in the same team. And I actually think, I know Rodrigo's had a banging start to the year, but I think Jack Harrison is the best option. He's had a good season in the past. 2 years ago, under Bielsa, scored I think 160 FPL points. He's on set pieces. That really intrigues me. I know Rodrigo's most likely on penalties, but they got a good run coming up. I think I'll avoid him this week with Brighton away. For whatever reason, Brighton away is a green fixture on the FDR, but for me, they're at least a 3. Maybe even a 4. They'll never get given a 4 on it, but to me, they're one of the best defences in the league. Sort of always have been, and especially at home. They don't allow teams to create too many chances, but with Chelsea, just not looking good at all. Their front 3, front 4. Just doesn't look good. The defence, Koulibaly's just stupid red card or second yellow, and we sort of saw it coming. And the thing is, they had a great performance at Spurs or against Spurs, at home, and I don't know. There's in a bit of a lull at the moment. I'm sure they'll figure it out. They've got too many talented players not to, but it's really that front. It's a number 9. They don't have one. They're trying Raheem. They're trying Havertz there. Mount isn't in form. Don't know with Chelsea. If I was doubled on their defence, I wouldn't be too confident. I think Reece James is really the only player you would want to own from them at this point in time. West Ham, Brighton are really good. There's nothing else really to take from this game for me. That Brighton are just really, really good team. Potter's got them playing a great football. I think they'll challenge for top 8, top 6 even this year if they stay consistent and healthy. I just think I really want to get some Brighton players in my team, probably namely their defence, just because of how solid it's been over a number of years. And I guess Sanchez would be the best entry point into that. But Dunk's a great option too. Attacking wise, I think Gross really may be an option. I know he didn't have any goal threat this game, but he had good assist threat. He's had really good goal threat in the previous 2 games. Trossard's always had good goal threat down the left, and then McAllister, surprising, was on the penalties, which many thought Gross would be. But yeah, really good, and just West Ham in a world of pain. Not sure what's going on there. They didn't create too much. They haven't looked good defensively. They have a couple of injuries, but they just haven't looked good to start the year, and they've got a big game this week against Villa, desperate for some points. This was probably game of the year so far, you would think, just for how well Newcastle played. The Trippier free kick was awesome. They had a good start. They probably should have scored more at the start, and then second half, City sort of flexed their muscles and found a way back in and ended out in a draw. But look, a lot to talk about here. I guess we'll scroll down and just look at Newcastle to start with. Callum Wilson, who unfortunately is injured with a hamstring. Almiron had some big chances. Both got their goals. St. Maximin looked really good down the flank as he always does. A lot of assist threat there, which is good to see. He's in really good form this year, so it's good to see him around a good set of plays and what he can do in a good team. Trippier, just amazing free kick, as I said before. And then the City, just look. Haaland had big XG here. Got his goal. It was from close range. Could have scored another. Bernardo he just manages to find himself in those spots. Bernardo, doesn't he? He's always just slippery. Gets himself in those good positions. So I guess so does Gundogan. Really, he's one of the great positioning midfielders and got himself in a good position for his goal as well. And then Kevin, just crazy assist numbers as well. In the single game, he's been awesome this year. Finding his balls and he's clearly the best City asset at the moment, which I annoyingly was looking at to start the year instead of Haaland. I know they've scored quite similarly, but you just don't have the rotation threat really with Kevin. Like, he's not going to play absolutely every game, but he's the most likely to out of all the attackers, and will play the most minutes if he's fit. So it's a bit annoying. I didn't go down that path, but it is what it is. And then the last game is United and Liverpool, and boy, wowee. United deserved that win for sure. Elanga could have scored early on and really put them away, but look, Liverpool, they got their goal at the end from Salah. They just didn't really ever look like threatening United too much. Rashford was good starting up top. I thought Elanga was good, even though he did get pulled at half time for Martial, but they just looked a lot more likely than Liverpool. Really good on the counter, which United sort of always have been. Their players are really suited to that. Martial, Sancho, Rashford, Bruno. They are really good on the counter, but it is just different when they play the lower sides where they'll dominate the ball. Can they break them down and score goals from teams that just sit back, play low block? I'm not sure they can do that quite yet, but they're really, really good against bigger teams where they can actually counter and get out and break. Liverpool, just as I said, didn't create a hell of a lot. Diaz had a couple of shots. Harvey Elliott was probably their best player. Salah didn't have a lot of opportunities. He obviously got his goal, but he just didn't really look too threatening, but that's Salah. He always does that. And then James Milner, for whatever reason, I don't remember this big assist chance that he had, but they just didn't create a hell of a lot. And look, they get Bournemouth at home this week, which I think definitely they can turn it around. They're very desperate for a win, obviously, and Bournemouth at home. Look, Bournemouth really offer nothing. They don't possess the ball. They can't get their feet on it, and they just really sit back and just wait. So Liverpool should be able to break them down and score some goals at home, and hopefully keep a clean sheet for those of us with their double defence. But look, for this site, for anyone, I'll probably link it in the description, called Understat. It's just a really nice, easy way of looking at some stats for the games. You don't have to pay for it. But yeah, that's my wrap up, guys. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you on the team selection video later on this week. Cheers. Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like 80. Pulling out the coupe at the lot.